Good evening, good morning, good whatever to everybody that's found their way to Speed Gaming 2. We have a Link to the Past randomizer match between AceZer0187 and Koi. And this is going to be a Game 3 between these two. They have split their previous two matches to bring us here. I am Reg, and joining me on the mic tonight is Tracy M. Tracy, you want to introduce this seed for us?
So in game one, Koi won. So AceZer decided to make this change the setting to standard. AceZer won game 2, and Koi decided to go with an assured sword for game 3. So we're going to be standard and assured sword today, which means we'll start with a sword, and then we're going to have to do the escape. And apparently, Uncle still has a nice item for us, so that'll be good. You get the sword, and you get something else offensive at the very beginning.
Yep, you can see on their file select screens both sprites holding up the sword there, just indicating that yes, they do start with it. This is not like the old versions of the randomizer where assured sword meant Uncle had the sword. Now Link has the sword.
Yeah, it'll be nice not to have to worry about finding that fighter sword, because you can go a long time without it, but no guarantees when you're going to get that master sword, so that'll be interesting.
Yep.
Looks like we're starting.
Yeah, Uncle is Uncle. So while they make their way up through the rain to the Uncle, I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite weapon for escape?
I can tell you what my least favorite weapon for escape is. It's bombs. I've played standard mode twice, and both times it was bombs, and it was horrible. I'd probably like to see a hammer, to be honest. That would be a nice find, because then you not only are you getting a good strong weapon, that's one half of our Dark World access.
Yeah, I noticed that bombs tend to be super divisive. Oh, Uncle actually doesn't have a weapon in assured sword. I did not know that. I learned something, and we've got $300 instead.
Well, let's get some partway to that Zora money, so that'll be a nice thing.
And we saw that the guards dropped a small magic, then a green rupee. And with the way prize packs are randomized, that means that the 6th drop off of the guards will be a bomb, if they can get that deep into the prize pool. So let's see how heavily they farm, whether they know this. Because that's just one bomb.
Well, actually, that bomb is critical in a lot of ways. So in one of the things that happened in game 2, Koi ended up skipping the back of escape, thinking that he'd already checked it because it was standard, and he hadn't. And unfortunately, that was where his hammer was. So hopefully that doesn't happen to him again.
Yeah. We do see, though, Koi is about a room ahead through here already. But that just... AceZer has been farming enemies far more than Koi has at this point, and that obviously takes time. And for his sake, just hope that he gets far enough into the prize pack for it to pay off.
We will see the next item coming up in just a second.
Yep. First one was the small key, which is guaranteed to be in the first few chests here. This is just cash, though. And yes, for those of us in chat who may be joining just a few minutes late, this is standard assured sword.
So the comment about Koi being able to buy bombs, the whole point is you don't want to have to leave back of escape without getting bombs. That's an extra check that you have to do later if that's the case, and we already talked about what can happen there, so we don't need to reiterate that.
That red boomerang is actually a pretty interesting pull, as it does give them one more opportunity to grab bombs here if the stun prize happens to be. But at this point, this is the same vanilla, no major glitches style thing that I'm sure most of you have seen a few dozen times before, at least. Go down, take your sword, rescue Zelda, run her through the sewers to the sanctuary. And We'll see no more checks before the Dark Cross, but there are still 5 items to find between here and the time they exit the Sanctuary, one of which will be a map.
And of course, the other difference you'll note is when they get to the Dark Cross, they will have a light cone there, so they don't have to worry about dark rooms for that location. Now, if they came back later, but why would you? Then it would be dark. But of course, you're not going to ever come back here after this.
AceZer did actually get deep enough in the prize pack for a bomb, but still doesn't even pay off for him because stun prize is 8 of them.
Yeah, they've got 8 bombs. That's a nice stun prize early on, especially when you have that boomerang to use it.
So yeah, that's actually highly unfortunate for AceZer because the difference in time between him pushing this and Koi pushing that to get back into the sewer section is the time he spent farming enemies to get that one extra bomb drop. Would have paid off huge if the stun prize wasn't what it was.
And just a map. So really good that these guys are going to have bombs to be able to check the back of escape a lot right away, because it's going to be 3 items now. We've seen the map, and of course the key has to have already occurred.
Yep, and you said before that the back of escape 3 checks were, I'm not going to say they were the deciding factor in Game 2, but they were definitely a big one, with one runner getting a bomb and the other not.
And what do we have here this time? We have more money, a glove, and a piece of heart. So good that neither one is going to be skipping that this time.
Yeah, that glove would have been an absolutely miserable miss if the other one's not available. But both runners got it, so we're all good. No need for alarm. And then the Sanctuary here is going to have the last item. But we've got to wait a sec for Zelda, and Zelda is slow.
And more bombs. Well, I'm glad they got bomb drops earlier, because that would just be a kick in the teeth to get to the top and there are your bombs.
There's a map check. That was 3 crystals with a red one at the Tower of Hera. As we see it again on AceZer's side. I think, honestly, if they didn't get bombs off the stun prize, the real kick in the teeth would have been Koi got that single bomb drop off the rat, and he didn't grab it because he was already entering the door to the Sanctuary when it appeared.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been painful.
Okay, both going to the Lost Woods. Not going to check the lumberjack item right away. Oh, and an ether medallion. So an early medallion, may or may not need it. With 3 crystals in the light world, we might not even need to go to any of those dungeons, but we'll see.
No, maybe not, but with sword and more than a quarter bar of magic, honestly, that medallion may be a decent way to clear out Mini Moldrum Cave or something like that without having to worry. And you mentioned the lumberjack skip earlier. It's not a play that I'm personally a fan of. I like having that information, but it is a fairly common skip until you get boots, because boots make it just a quick dash from the Sanctuary to check, and you can't even get the item without the boots.
Exactly. And we'll get our first look at Blind's hut here. Piece of heart. More rupees. Bombs. And more bombs. Already more than enough to not only pay the bottle vendor and pay Zora. You could buy more bombs than you do, and even more bombs! So this seed is just throwing bombs at him.
Yeah, feels pretty bad, honestly. But at least they haven't found the 10 bomb stack while maxed out. That would just be frustrating. And
going into the well, what do we got here?
5 more items, just as many as we saw. There's progression.
There we go. Already got Dark World access minus the Moon Pearl.
You can open any of the portals you want, but you can't actually get out after doing so.
And a Bombos medallion, so 2 of our 3 medallions are already covered.
Yeah, just in a vacuum, that Bombos medallion is slightly more important than it looks because we have a sword. If they find the Titan's Mitts and the Moon Pearl, or honestly, if they're feeling really gutsy, even just the Titan's Mitts, they could go to Ice Palace if they wanted to.
They could.
That'd be something.
Fighter sword, hammer, Bombos, Ice Palace does not exactly sound like a pleasant time. Wow,
Yeah.
more bombs.
It definitely wouldn't be a pleasant play, but it would be a technically possible one.
Mm-hmm. Not in logic without flippers, but when it comes to going to Ice Palace, no one's going to care about that. At least if it's a crystal.
I mean, you care about it if you're not in go mode, just so that you can narrow down. Like, obviously, if flippers are the last item you need and you've got Ice Palace on the table.
Yep.
Yeah. But other than that, you just use it to narrow down options. So that's a fetch quest on the library.
Looks like AceZer is going to go ahead and blind check the race game, where Koi is going to go take a look, sees its piece heart, and decides to nope out and just save and quit.
Yeah, that'll save Koi a few seconds, but I fundamentally don't dislike blind checking the race game. It just feels bad when you have to save and quit out.
Just this early in the game, there's so many fewer items that you're going to pass up on than later on.
Koi taking a bit of an interesting walking route over to the dam. I thought he was going to skip that for now and just go straight to Mini Moldorm, but either he changed his mind midway or he just likes walking.
Oh, and a flute, so it's good he didn't skip it.
Yeah, not of any use until we get back to Kakariko Village and activate it, but definitely good to have in your back pocket. That'll also put him on Death Mountain if he so chooses.
And outside we have a heart container. This early in the game, I suspect they'll pick that up since it's a full heart container.
Yeah, full hearts are pretty nice in general, especially early on before you find any mail, and when you're not concerned about potential death warps. No medallion strats to clear Mini Moldorm Cave. I'm kind of sad after we found both of them early, but bombs are good enough.
And a mirror.
That's a magic. Yep.
And another sword.
And a Master Sword. So, hey, remember when I said we didn't care about death warps? Now we really don't care about death warps.
That's right.
Koi is notably skipping the Mini Moldorm Cave, but with that flute in hand, he can just flute to 8 and whenever he wants go.
Yeah, you mean Ice Rod Cave, and I think that's probably fine with the flute. It looks like they're both going to do that. Go get that flute activated right away.
Yeah, totally reasonable.
And in fact, they now have access to Tower of Hera with the mirror. So it kind of makes sense that they would go ahead, flute over to the mountain, probably go ahead and save the old man out of logic just to get the save quit spot and then head up to Tower of Hera.
Yeah, the problem with Hera right now is that if the big key's in the basement, they can't clear it. You can't do the Hera pot clip without the hook shot.
That's true.
But the mirror plus the hammer lets them get to Paradox Cave on the east side of the mountain too. So that's 7 checks, and then Spiral Cave for an 8th.
Which is a lot of checks. And we have nearly synced with flute activation.
Yep, so here saving the old man for the save and quit point. In the dark means out of logic, like you said, but this is probably the easiest dark room when you have a sword. One of them at least, so definitely would be surprised if any of the 128 runners that made it through quals couldn't do it. In fact, I would be completely shocked. But
I'd be shocked if anyone that made it into this tournament couldn't do any of the dark rooms. So, and like you said, this is one of the easier ones. And not only, and I don't even know if it's, I would say the one to the big key chest in Eastern is probably the easiest one. But this one is just so important. It's like if you're gonna only learn one dark room, this is the one to learn because that save quit spot is so useful. And Koi just gonna go check Ice Rod before finishing up the. Just wanted to rescue the old man, get that save quit spot.
I think that Dead Rock was a fairly big deciding factor in why he chose to do that.
That's a really good point. He can reset the area by checking this.
Of course, at the same time, fluting to 1 would have done the same thing, but this is a whenever you want check, and he already had the flute.
And more money. We are rich today. Oh, and a moon pearl. Oh my.
Not close enough to call vanilla?
Vanilla-ish. And flippers on the desert ledge.
We do need either. Yeah, we do need either Titan's mitts or a book to get to those, but reassuring to know they're there. As long as Swamp Palace is a pendant, at least.
And we'll get the Igina check from Koi here.
Yeah, this is another off-an orphan check that is made a lot better by having the flute, but
it
turns out to be nothing.
So that just upped our chances that we're going to be fire locked here.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And we are. Oh, that hurts for Koi, because even though we are fire locked, that book could have allowed Koi to go straight into desert. Of course, we can't complete desert without a fire source, so can get those flippers though.
Can get those flippers, can check this ether tablet, and Koi is actually still saying no to the mountain. He is off to the Eastern Palace area.
Lots of items here. 3 in Sarasso's closet, 3 in Eastern. Of course, we may not be able to get to all of them since we don't have a bow to get to defeat the Armos Knights.
And Green Pendant, Ice Palace.
Ooh, we might not have to go into Ice Palace at all. And a fire rod, a bow, and a shield. What is this seed?
Oh wow, that paid off huge.
He really paid off. He can full clear Eastern. The only thing that wouldn't be in logic is that big key chest, but like we already said, that's an easy one. That's an easy dark room for these guys. The Armos Knights are fully in logic because we have a bow and the fire rod can be used to light the torch there.
Actually, this is really disappointing on Koi's side. Like, I understand him going straight into Eastern after this, but if he had stuck with the mountain just as far as Hera and gotten his Moon Pearl, he could flute to 5, do Eastern and Pod together. And that would just be fantastic.
Yeah, there's a good chance AceZer will be able to do that.
Yep. Although he's got the whole Dark World to play with, I wouldn't be surprised to see him put that off for a little while.
A lot will depend whether Pod is a pendant or not.
Yeah, but even then, you've got stuff like Thieves Town, the Village of Outcasts, Front of Skull Woods, Hype Cave in the South area, and so on.
Yeah,
I do also want to call out... sorry, go on.
I was going to say, he's probably not going to go to Eastern before Dark World. I think that's probably correct.
Yeah. And I do want to say, you did say earlier that the Fire Rod does put Armos Knights in logic. That is contingent on us finding a big key outside of its vanilla location.
That is true.
And we did see a bottle, a cape, and the boots on AceZero's side in Paradox Cave.
Oof.
So that paying off almost as well as Sahashal's Closet.
The good news for Koi is because he doesn't have that Moon Pearl, eventually he is going to have to get back up to that mountain. So he's not going to miss all that stuff for long.
Okay, so there is that big key. So yeah, Armos in logic with the Fire Rod now. The one thing that I would hope to see Koi find before going up the mountain just to make that trip more efficient for him after he declined it the first time is the Titan Smiths, which would just let him get the Dark World stuff. And we do see AceZero going up and checking the Lumberjack now that he has those boots. Wouldn't be surprised to see him take a quick detour to the library and grab the fetch quest there either.
Okay, we do
Mushroom.
we do see a piece of art there, so we're not going to be killing Aga today.
Yeah, that's always reassuring. He is not going straight for that mushroom. If he can hold on to it until he finds the Cane of Samaria, he can use it for the Magic Powder fetch quest in addition to its intended turn-in. But who knows?
Oh, and a hook shot! Wow, that eastern area.
Okay.
Really paying off for Koi.
Yep. Our map check here shows Thieves and Mire as pendants and Swamp as the other red crystal. So, pretty ordinary layout. Actually, that hookshot's a big find, even if it's technically out of logic lamp lock. That means that as soon as Koi gets to the mountain for his Moon Pearl, he will have everything he needs to full clear Swamp Palace.
Yep.
Because he already knows where those flippers are.
And I didn't see anything good in Hype Cave.
Looked like 5 junk items to me. Okay, looks like it will be a pyramid play from AceZero. We'll see if he goes to the eastern area in addition, or if it'll be Catfish after.
It's an interesting question. He does not, since he doesn't have the bow there and does not know he's going to find it there. It's a bit of a gamble for him to do it. Oh, and there's a lamp on the pyramid.
Well, that cleans up the very slight logic issues we had in Eastern Palace. Actually, that reminds me, when Koi goes to the mountain, he has a fire rod. He'll be able to beat the Tower of Hera in one go.
Yes,
so that's pretty
that
nice
is
for
true.
him.
Or he might, he could do the Hera pot now. He's got the hook shot. And if he wants to, he could do this in reverse. Since he's got the hook shot, he could hook shot over to the Paradox Cave and hit Tower of Hera from the other direction.
I would expect he would do that just because I'm pretty sure that's faster. But it looks like he does want the Spectacle Rock checks before doing that. And that may just have him mirror up so he can grab that pearl immediately.
No, the Moon Pearl doesn't get him anything right now, so maybe he doesn't. We'll see. I could see an argument either way. Obviously not going to pick up that heart piece.
I mean, he's already climbed the mountain, so I'm pretty sure just sticking with this would be at least as fast.
Well, it'd be a little faster to go the other way, but he doesn't know that because boots.
Oh yeah, boots are a thing.
But, you know, I mean, if he knew the boots were there, then yeah, absolutely he'd go that way. But of course, he has no way of knowing that.
Yeah, so with the information he has, he's making the faster play here.
Mm-hmm.
And I did call out the Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness combo play for Koi earlier. It's a shame he couldn't do it. AceZero is on the first leg of it, though, now with that bow and fire rod in hand.
Okay, let's see what Koi decides to do here. Is going to decide to just get the big key. Probably the right decision. There could be an item in the big key chest. And this is a much easier trick, or actually I shouldn't call it easy or hard. I mean, it's so new, but the clip is easier to do, my understanding, with the boots. Koi doesn't have the boots, so you'd have to do it just with the hook shot.
Yeah, there is a bomb jump setup for it, and I know that a lot of runners do know it. I personally don't. But regardless, it's basically gambling the time it takes for this tile room versus the probability that the item is in the big chest, and he is weighing on the side of that probability. Let's see. Bow-locked side of Palace of Darkness is 1 small key, probably 2 small keys.
Yep.
Yep.
Front half of Palace of Darkness needs to have at least 4 keys.
And we found 3 in the first 3 checks here. Oh, he's been on the bridge already, so I think that's still... Or is that 4 keys found? Because he took the front door to get to the bridge. I was totally ignored his front half of pod checks after
I was watching Koi
go into... Yeah.
Okay, Koi gonna set out the bomb jump here.
Let's see if Harapot was the call.
Would have just missed a compass. Of course, that's assuming he would have done it fast enough.
Yeah, which... It's a bit iffy. But I think if he knows how to do it, then he would have saved time over the tile room, almost certainly.
Oh, sure.
But that probability weighing on your mind until the second you kill Moldorm is pretty hard. And if it didn't pay off, that would just be really bad. So, Hammer Moldorm, 3 hits will put him down. No enraged phase, no nothing, nice and easy.
And just a bottle of green goo there.
Yeah, but more importantly, his second crystal, his first 5/6 crystal. And that means whenever he gets down to Swamp Palace and clears it out, he's just got a very short walk up to the bomb shop for the super bomb if he so chooses.
And with that book, he's going to go ahead and check the bombless tab. I think we saw this on the other side.
Yeah, it wasn't
Sorry,
anything
ether
of
tablet.
importance.
I think it was just bombs, if I remember correctly.
Yep. So, AceZero on his way to the Helmosaur King. Not to kick a man while he was down or anything, but skipping this location when Palace of Darkness was a pendant was what ultimately cost him game 1. So, feels good for me to see him not have to worry about that, since I unfortunately had a front row seat to that. And really, you hate to see a runner lose a race specifically because of that.
Or any one small thing like that.
Right. Like, if you're making silly plays and you get punished for it, sure, that's on you. But if you're making reasonable plays with the information you have and getting punished for it, that just feels bad, man. And yes, for chat, Pod is a crystal. I'm talking about a previous game in the series between these two racers when I talk about Pendant Pod. Well, Koi's up in Paradox Cave and about to get the goods out of there. Primarily the boots, but that magic cape could also be a thing if something is on the bumper cave ledge in the North Dark World. AceZero puts Helmosaur down fairly cleanly. just a compass for his trouble.
And a crystal.
Yeah, his first of the match. And he'll mirror over to Eastern Palace and make it a second in fairly short order.
So the question is, if you're Koi, do you go straight over to desert, do desert, and get your flippers before heading over to the Dark World? I think that's what I might do.
Yeah, if I'm him, I absolutely do it because no mitts in sight means that I'm not that concerned about a Mire play at this point.
Yep.
But having those flippers will let me route in Swamp Palace with the South Dark World and thus the Super Bomb, so yeah. And obviously he's at least probably agreeing with what I've got in mind here.
And theoretically, the only dungeon we'll need to go in that requires those mitts is Turtle Rock, because ideally we don't have to go into Ice Palace or Misery Mire. If Misery Mire were Crystal, then trying to pair it with Desert would make more sense. But here you're hoping you just never have to go there.
Yeah, but at the same time, hey, silver arrows, nice for killing land molas. The thing about Mire is that, in addition to the dungeon itself, the Mire Shed and the Checkerboard Cave are 3 relatively quick checks as well. So those will probably come up unless mitts are the go mode item.
Yep. And actually, if we look at what we don't have at the moment, we will need a cane and an ice rod for Turtle Rock. We don't know what the medallion is for Turtle Rock, so we'll possibly need that. And of course, we need mitts, so, you know, we're at a point where mitts could end up being that go mode item. Which is actually really nice. If mitts is your go mode item, there's a whole lot of things that you never have to do because of it.
Yep. And you're completely right. Since we know where the flippers are, that is either 3 or 4 items, depending on whether it's Vanilla Quake to get into Turtle Rock. And obviously, we cannot know that one until after we have the mitts. So saying mitts are the go mode item this seed, or mitts could be the go mode item this seed, is technically accurate, but more misleading than anything.
Yeah, I mean, they might find that Quake medallion before the mitts too, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's also on the table here.
And you see AceZer going ahead and doing Eastern right now, doing that paired up pod Eastern play that you talked about earlier.
Yep, and he's almost to the end of it. He's going to get his hook shot here as soon as he damage boosts his way to pick up that pot. And I think if all goes well, these two should be fairly close to synced on their boss kills. I think Koi may come out a few seconds ahead. Let's see, I think Koi's only got 1 more room, but this room's got, what is that, a 19-second wall-moving cutscene. Meanwhile, AceZer has still got like 3 more rooms, but no silly cutscenes to deal with.
So it's pretty close. They both should be able to make very quick work of these respective bosses.
Oh, that arrow snipe was incredible on AceZer's side. He didn't think he was going to get it.
Okay, Koi missing the 1 cycle. But finishes off very quickly after that.
Yeah. Finishes it off as AceZer does get into the Armos fight. But AceZer is set up for the quick kill, so he's not going to be very far behind. The big thing at this point is that Koi is a crystal ahead, even though AceZer's Palace of Darkness is a lot longer than Koi's Tower of Herod.
Yep. On the other hand, getting back up to Tower of Herod isn't exactly quick.
No, but AceZer might wait for mitts on that just so he's got a reason to go back up the mountain.
He might.
Assuming he doesn't want that other 5/6 crystal for a Pyramid Fairy play on his first Dark World loop, which it looks like he doesn't.
Okay, so we got Koi having checked Sick Kid, and also we found is some bombs.
It is also worth noting for chat that I don't believe AceZer has been to the desert area yet. He does not know about those flippers. So what I said a second ago about AceZero potentially wanting that 5/6 crystal for a Dark World loop doesn't make much sense because he doesn't have the flippers to clear Swamp Palace with. Meanwhile, it looks like Koi is going to do just the full Dark World loop from north to south. He's going to start with the Skull Woods play. That Fire Rod and Sword, he can fully clear that.
Well, yeah, he can. Okay, Skullwoods being a crystal, might as well get it done. A couple items there. We'll see if he decides to do any of Thieves Town. Two schools of thought. A lot of people think that Thieves Town, even when it's a pendant, you should at least check those first 4 checks. Other people say skip it because it's a pendant.
I don't think I know anybody in that second camp, actually.
We saw a few runners a few days ago that both skipped Thieves Town early on, so it happens.
Learn something new every day. I believe that was 21 digs for a sword.
Oh, that'll be nice. Koi will get to that. So we'll both be on Master Sword. I suspect AceZer will pick up the silvers.
Yeah, you're not going to miss the silvers just sitting in that Desert Palace chest.
Not at
unless
all.
You're... Actually, even if you're in a hard go mode when you get to Desert, the small key's on the torch. You're going to check that chest looking for the big key still.
Yep. Okay, both runners have now picked up their mushrooms. Koi going to start at the back of Skullwoods, hoping to maybe not have to do the front. Unfortunately, we do see a compass in the chest under the bridge, so at least something will happen. We'll be in one of the other locations.
Yeah, back to front's the usual Skullwoods play when you're full clearing it and can do so from the start. But it's one of those things. I like the front of Skullwoods.
If it's a pendant, front of the Skullwoods makes a lot of sense, but this being a crystal, I like to do the back part first. Because you have to do it anyway. And maybe you can avoid a few checks on the way back.
Yeah, that's the intent behind it, but I don't know. The way that the front part of the dungeon is laid out just feels really nice and smooth to me.
Mm-hmm.
Koi opting for the Fire Rod here. Fire Rod does the same damage as Master Sword slashes against Mothula, which means both Tempered Sword and Master Sword spins are stronger, as well as the hammer. But Fire Rod's pretty easy to use at the same time.
Yep. Okay, AceZer does decide to do the front first. We see a key. Okay, just gonna grab the key, I guess.
Yeah.
And they'll go head to the back.
Meanwhile, Mothula is super uncooperative on Koi's side. I haven't seen it this bad in a while.
Koi's gonna use his red potion. There we go.
Yeah, that took a bit, because it's a reminder for everybody in chat who doesn't play this game regularly, if you knock Mothula into a spike, negates the damage of the hit. That's it, no damage.
Thanks, game.
Yeah, and with the way Mothula flies around, especially the way he was flying around in that fight and sticking towards the top for a lot of it, it's really easy to hit him into the spikes, even if you're trying not to.
Oh, we're gonna get a ped check here.
Yeah, this is the best time to do it.
Absolutely.
When you've got the mirror, got the book.
Use this to become invincible. Is that the blue cane?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because we got the cape, so that would just be. We know it's not that, so we're not picking that up.
Nope. Cape covers Bumper Ledge and it covers Spike Cave. And actually, Spike Cave is the only use for the blue cane in the logic the tournament is using. So yeah, all that means is we're not picking it up. It literally doesn't mean anything other than that. It's like a Samaria lock when Ice Palace is a crystal, a non-5/6 crystal. And yeah, chat called it out ahead of me, but AceZero really showing off how great that Tempered Sword is in Mothula's fight.
Absolutely.
Making absolute joke of that boss.
Okay, Koi now getting to the front. Still have one more item here.
That is sadly not an item.
And we know this is a small key.
Yeah, that small key will let him go to the left and then just mirror back to the front door when he finds the item, though, so not a bad find.
We got 3 more checks here. Since the pinball room no longer is guaranteed to be a small key.
Yep, and it basically means if you don't know what you're doing, be prepared to save and quit, as the pinball room is a small key. So if you just took the drop right into it without already holding a key, you would be forced to save and quit out.
And there's our other item, just a small shield. Or just a fire shield. Not what we're looking for.
No, but finding that before going to Ganon's tower at least means you have it for the Landmolars rematch, and you can block the fireballs off that shooter.
Okay, nothing on Bumper Ledge.
So pretty good odds that cape is entirely junk. But there's still Spike Cave.
Wouldn't call it entirely junk. It's a nice safety to have in certain situations, but yeah, is it needed? Probably not.
As far as I care, there are exactly two classes of items in Rando: progression and junk.
Okay, that's fair enough. I like to also call certain things luxury items, and that's where I'd put that cape in.
I mean, practically speaking, you're correct, but it
But
basically means
but not
I
progression. Yeah, not progression is still not progression.
Yeah, and if it's not progression, I can forget about it 3 seconds after it gets pulled.
Sure.
Like that red rupee. If you ask me what was in Graveyard Ledge in 10 minutes, I'm not going to be able to tell you for sure.
Nope, I might not remember that one either. McCoy is going to be able to do all these North Dark World checks. May even just route from Catfish over to Pod.
That part seems a bit more unlikely to me with the sheer density in the Village of Outcasts and the counterclockwise south loop. But being able to route in all both of these boots checks with the Graveyard Ledge still feels really nice, just because it makes Graveyard Ledge not feel like a bad one-off location.
Well, we haven't seen anything in the Zora area, so he can go over to Catfish, then mirror over to do the 3 flippers checks in that area. The 3 flippers checks plus the Zora itself, and we got plenty of money for that.
That is what he's doing, actually. He is not chasing the density of the village.
And he can turn in his mushroom here.
Yeah. I'm a little less of a fan of this one, just because I'm a big fan of fake powdering wherever possible, just for increased efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
But not going to turn down the efficiency of being able to do this now, even if it means you can't reset.
Looks like he's going to buy a couple of potions at the... Well, speaking of powder, we've got
Nice
vanilla powder.
Nice.
So that takes care of the powder check.
Yeah, and it means that if he ever finds Mitts before go mode, he'll be able to route that right in with Smiths, even if the cane doesn't show.
Meanwhile, AceZer are going to do the Village of Outcasts check and go the other way.
Yeah, unfortunately for AceZero, no flippers means he can't include Swamp Palace and the Super Bomb in this route.
No, we can't.
So that's just assuming there's anything at all in Swamp Palace worth grabbing before go mode. That does mean an efficiency gain for Koi, but that's all
And
it is.
Koi's going to mirror out before he can even catch the piece of heart. No surprise.
Yeah, he's got 7 hearts. That's all he needs, right?
Yeah. Oh, and that's an ice rod. So we are not getting an ice rod hunt today.
Cheers for that.
Absolutely. That is the worst go mode item.
Okay, so just a piece of heart on the Zora ledge, and we haven't seen anything of special value in Thieves Town so far, but still a couple more checks in this front 4 at least. I think we've seen, what, 1 item and a big key, if I remember right?
I saw some rupees, and there's some more rupees. And more rupees from nice life lesson from Zora.
Okay, I was wrong about the big key in the first chest, but I think it was still a dungeon. Oh, chat saying 3
Chat's
red
saying 3
rupees.
red rupees. So hopefully for our runners, we don't have a good item in the back because no one's going to want to go there.
Yeah. Back of Thieves Town for 1 item when you know the pet is junk and you know that the dungeon will give you a pendant? No.
Yep. No, we're not going there unless we last location it.
Well, Koi is continuing to follow those flippers up to the hobo. Of course, without the mitts, he can't get into Ice Palace, and he's not in position to do Swamp yet, so this will be the end of his flippers checks for now.
And just arrows. So we'll see. Is he gonna? So now he might do that swamp check. Or
I would be surprised to see that check before he's done the rest of the Village of Outcast to Hype Cave loop. But starting
like
at the house.
I think that's where he's headed.
Koi making a liar out of me every step of the way, and it is great to watch. Like, routing is my favorite part of the randomizer, so whenever a runner does a route that I don't predict and don't see coming, it's always interesting.
Well, like you said earlier, this is the other 5/6 crystals, so he could do this and then go over to Pyramid Fairy. Get the Pyramid Ledge check at the same time.
Yeah, from that perspective, it is a good efficient play. I'm just surprised that he's not building on that efficiency by including the rest of the Dark World loop with it. Now, the chat's pointing out that, yeah, Palace of Darkness is almost certainly going to be on his mind after that. And that'll put him at 6 crystals, even though he still needs 2 items for go mode. Maybe a 3rd, depending on Quake.
The more interesting question is he gonna check the left side?
AceZer actually used a bomb explosion to knock himself into the edge of the screen for fake flippers there so he could get across the catfish. Well done to him. I mean, we know the flippers are available to him, so he didn't necessarily have to do that, but that was still well done.
Yeah, AceZer has not gone over to the desert area at all. Also going to pick up his powder here. So neither one of our runners opting to do the fake powder. Of course, we don't have Kane to do it with yet, so...
Yeah, and in a situation like this where there's a decent odds Kane's your go mode, I said earlier that I really like fake powder, but you're not going to beat yourself up too bad over not being able to do it here.
No, absolutely not.
And Koi is finally far enough into Swamp Palace that he can almost make the second check. Still got another room and a half or so before that.
AceZer also mirroring before picking up the piece of heart. Looks like he's going to go for a splash deletion to get over to the Waterfall Ferry, and manages to do it.
Yeah, that's really good for him because we know the Ice Shroud is here, so he's going to grab it.
And has to go back out and in because this game is weird.
Yeah, that specific one has something to do with how the game checks for the Moon Pearl when you go from Underworld to Overworld state in that. And since you've got the Moon Pearl, it lets you walk for some silly reason.
Like I said, this game is weird.
Yeah, basically. And most of the weirdness in this game is achieved by doing two things on the same frame, but that one's just different. A
More
unique
money.
item.
Yeah, a unique item, a single arrow.
A unique item is under the water.
And more rupees. So we got all that money back we spent at Zora. and more.
Yep, that was a refund on both Zora and the bottle vendor. And here's AceZero learning about his fake flippers not actually being a sequence break of any real sort. And Koi is in the Argus fight. He's actually executing this double pull spin fairly well. That's a lot more difficult than it looks. Take it from me, I've tried it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because basically, if you move too slow, you'll just poke the puff and lose your spin charge while doing no damage to it. Exactly like you saw there. And there is Argus down for Koi's 5th crystal.
Oh,
and the
baby,
mitts.
Mitts. So, never mind Mitts go mode, we're in Kane go mode, minus that Quake possibility.
Yeah, at this point, I wonder if he bails on his play and goes and checks that. I mean, probably not, since even go mode pod is something of a big key hunt. And we know the big key. He doesn't know the big key is deep in pod, but we know it's about as deep as it will be for any runner checking it in any reasonable order. But
yeah, and like we said earlier, the nice thing about Mitts go mode is there's so many things that now you can't check. And by the time you get Mitts, you don't care to check because it's go mode. So this could lead him down a lot of additional checks that may or may not be necessary.
Yeah, Ice Palace, Misery Mire, both on the table at this point.
No, I don't think he's going to go there, but I was thinking more like the Smith sequence, and my guess is he's going to do Pyramid Fairy. I like this. Maybe still goes to pod afterwards, and then the question is, what do you do after that? That might be the time to go to Dark Death Mountain. You got, the 4 items in the Hookshot Cave. You got the 2 items in Super Bunny Cave. Koi successfully doing the bomb dupe. And then, of course, you can get the readout on TR.
Yeah, I think just from a sheer information standpoint, Dark Death Mountain needs to be the play after Palace of Darkness. I guess doesn't need to be. Koi's proven enough times that I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but yeah. From an information perspective, I like the Dark Death Mountain play, I'll say.
Absolutely.
And even on top of the information, just from a sheer density standpoint, it still wins with 7 or 6 items, 7 if you count Spike Cave.
Yeah,
at least 6 items.
Koi is going to pick up his lamp because if nothing else, that will make the rooms, the Dark Turtle room, much, much easier in pod. Probably saves enough time by picking that up just for that one room alone.
Yeah, when it's that free, you're not going to say no to it.
Exactly.
There's Land Mola's down on AceZero's side. That will be his 4th crystal, which he's a Tower of Hera and a Swamp Palace behind in crystal count, but he has several extra checks at this point that Koi doesn't have. Just none of them have been the progression, unfortunately.
Well, he does have that tempered sword. That was the one thing he did manage to pick up that Koi does not have. And Pod is not a quick dungeon.
Yeah, Pod will take several minutes for Koi here, even in the best case, so that'll give some time for AceZero to either extend his lead in terms of checks Koi hasn't made yet, or get to like Swamp Palace and make that play.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he's probably gonna try and save Tower of Hera for very last, because if you can route Tower of Hera in so that you do TR, then Hera, and then into GT, that's really efficient.
Yeah, that would be the ideal for sure if he thinks he can pull it off and Hera or the Pyramid Fairy doesn't have the progression he's looking for. Which, with Hera being only one item, decent chance of that just looking at it in a vacuum. And it looks like it should be Swamp for AceZero here. He has checked everything else in the region.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for him. And we did not see the left side. We'll see if he goes to the left side at all. I'm not sure I saw a map or a compass, so it may very well be that the left side is just map, compass, and big key. And possibly big key in the big chest.
Yeah, that would be the ideal. I can't remember from what I saw on Koi's screen while he was checking. But any Swamp Palace where we can skip the left side, whether that's because it's go mode or because we know it's just map, compass, big key, in those 3 checks, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, for those of you in chat who may have missed the beginning of the race, we had 2 changes to this from the normal settings, because it is a game 3, but those settings were Assured Sword and Standard mode.
Yeah, AceZero having switched to Standard mode in game 2, Koi switching to Assured Sword in game 3.
Yeah, and frankly, I'll just say almost an hour into this seed, both of those settings have pretty much run their course and aren't relevant anymore.
Pretty much. Other than we aren't sitting here going, are they ever going to check front of escape? Because they don't need to.
I mean, you do raise a good point. Hour mark is the pretty standard time to check front of escape, it feels like.
Sure seems that way. Definitely seen quite a few races where that was the case.
Yeah. Of course, the ideal would honestly be to route it in with the pyramid check using the mirror, but that's not always possible, and yeah, sometimes it just goes. And yeah, chat said earlier that it was God Swamp with the map, compass, big key. And yeah, those front 2 checks, and we know that there's 4 checks in these last 5 items between a pair of 300 rupees, the silver arrow, or not the silver arrows, the single arrow, and the mitts. So yes, God Swamp confirmed. Also, chat's asking if the rupee basement in pod had vanilla items. I don't remember what junk was down there, but I at least know it was not vanilla because that's where the single arrow is in vanilla, and it is not there today because it's AceZero is about to pull it.
Yeah, we didn't find anything in pod.
No, it's just a crystal, and for chat, just following up just again so that they know what's going on here. AceZero found his tempered at the digging game, which Koi has not checked that. He's not checked Stumpy. He's not checked pretty much any of the South Dark World stuff. I don't think he's been to Hype Cave yet, even.
I believe he has been to Hype Cave.
Yeah, Hype Cave was forgettably bad this seed, regardless.
Yeah, if he hasn't been to Hype Cave, don't go there now, Koi, because there's nothing there for you. But I'm pretty certain he did hit it.
AceZero is having a much easier time of this Argus fight here.
Yeah,
because
again
he can
showing.
just full slash. Yeah.
Again showing the difference between Tempered and Master Sword.
And he's going to save himself some time here, assuming he's accurate, by just plunking one silver arrow into Argus. His timing was just slightly off. And yeah. Still does save time over the 4 Master Sword spins Koi used to put down the second phase. And yeah, there's his mitts and his 5th crystal. So now we're back to all tied up on crystals, except Koi's almost done with pod to make a 6th.
I would put Koi just a little bit ahead, but it's hard to say for sure because we do have that sword difference here that Koi may or may not ever get to, depending on where that cane is.
Yeah, with all the checks AceZero has that Koi skipped in favor of his dungeon focus, I'm not going to say that anybody's ahead in this race until we see the cane.
I think that's fair.
AceZero did blind check the Lake Hylia Island, only found a few arrows on it. I think Koi checked that without actually grabbing the item when he went over to do the same hobo check.
I believe that's correct. So let's see if Koi decides to make that Dark Death Mountain play, or if he decides to start going over to the western and southern side of the Dark World. I do favor the Dark doing the just get that information for Turtle Rock. Oh, he's gonna check the Mire area. Okay, this is a couple of 3 quick checks here.
Yeah, 3 checks, and he learns whether it's even possible for him to make a Mire dip,
And
which it is if he wants to.
Don't think we'll be seeing Mire right away.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we do see AceZero actually going straight to Dark Death Mountain. So he will get us that information on the Turtle Rock Medallion first, as well as the Super Bunny Cave, Hookshot Cave items.
And the Mire area holding nothing for us.
Yep. And if AceZero hits go mode here on the mountain by any chance, he's actually in great shape despite having fewer crystals right now, because he'll be able to do the Hera into GT combo.
Actually, that's going to make this, if this area has that cane, this is going to make this a really good race. And it is Bombo, so at least they don't have to search for Quake, which is a nice relief, because the next worst thing to a Ice Rod go mode hunt is a Medallion go mode hunt.
Yep. Now the only outstanding question, where is that Cane of Samaria? If it's on the mountain... sorry.
And it pretty much can be anywhere but Vidi himself and Turtle Rock.
Yep. If it is on the mountain, we've got a real close race on our hands here, where the sword advantage may actually come into play, because AceZero will have an easier time of the combat and in the dungeons, but Koi won't have to go up to Hera.
And so far, a heart container and a piece of heart.
There's still 4 items here, though, so we've only made a third of the checks.
And we might see a Spike Cave check after this. And AceZero might go ahead and clear Tower Hera right now, since he's up here.
Nope, there it is.
Never mind. That is going to put both our runners in go mode. AceZero in a more comfortable go mode with that extra sword. Koi is not going to get that sword unless we find another sword on our way.
Yeah, Koi does grab an extra red potion, though, which is a bit of value for him. And where's... he's grabbing just the heart before going back. So yeah, you've got to remember, AceZero does still have to clear the Tower of Hera after they both clear Turtle Rock here. Well, Koi will be straight into Ganon's Tower. But sword advantage means we have a race on our hands here, folks. These guys are pretty much even. In our hands.
And if you're AceZero and you know how to do that Hera pot, you're going to do it. And this is the exact situation where you do it. Absolutely.
Yep, no risk of orphaning that item. Just go, go, go. You don't care what's in that big chest. That roller not playing nice with AceZero there, but does get big key, small key there, so that means he can at the very least skip the lava chest here. He doesn't care what's in that.
Right. Yeah, Gomo TR, not the best Gomo dungeon ever. Depending on the key logic, you may only end up skipping Mimic Cave. And like you said, this big key chest, if in this case, since we do have the big key already.
Yeah, it's a very, very linear dungeon, so there's not much opportunity to skip anything.
Oh, hey, we could get a big shield.
Did somebody ask for lag?
Apparently.
Honestly, the thing I'm most interested in, I mean, obviously, with the race being this close, Ganon's Tower routing could be the decider here if they take different routes and one pays and one doesn't.
It really could be.
But will we find that last sword is the question. Because if we neutralize sword advantage here, tempered versus gold is not an advantage for the gold sword with runners this good.
No, not at all.
Tempered versus master is an advantage for sure. Also, to answer a question in chat, how does one skip big game? You skip big game by skipping the entire Village of Outcasts area and Stumpy and the Grove Ledge and so on. Like, AceZero did not once pay a visit to the Village of Outcasts area.
You mean Koi?
Or yes, Koi, excuse me. I am... Yeah.
Basically, by getting go mode before you get to that area. It also helps when Thieves Town is a pendant, so you don't have less incentive to be over in that area.
Yeah, like he did Skull Woods, and then he did the Bonk Rocks, Graveyard Ledge, King's Tomb into Catfish play, and then he went straight into Swamp, Pyramid Fairy, Palace of Darkness, and that's basically how we got here for Koi. Now we do see AceZero is in enough of a go mode that he is skipping that crystal roller chest. He has the small key. He doesn't need it. Like, the best it could be for him at this point is probably red mail looking at the tracker. I have a feeling he'd rather have that than the butter sword.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, he doesn't know that Koi has the master sword.
Yeah, Koi will show us this chest just because I think he does want to find a tempered sword if he finds it in the way, because that will save him time.
The more interesting part is going to be if Koi goes into GT and does not find the butter sword, or sorry, for him the tempered sword on the way to the big key. Will he do the checks up top in those 4 chests at the top of Ganon's Tower, or will he just say, I'm just going to use this master sword and just get there as quickly as I can?
Those 4 checks are really fast. Finding tempered in any of them would be a time save, and him skipping it would surprise me. even with the number of ways he's already surprised me this race.
He's not going to check the rest of Laser Bridge, though, because gets the big key out of there. Could be a sword on Laser Bridge, but if there is, we'll never know.
Yeah, and actually those chests aren't any slower to get than the upstairs GT ones, I don't think, so he might skip those as well.
And of course, his try next fight's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Yep, AceZero got that down about as clean as you can get with the Tempered Sword, so that's 6 crystals for him. He does not have 7 crystals yet. He still has to clear the Tower of Hera.
So hold off on those numbers, guys. I think Koi's going to be the first one into GT, but not by a lot.
Yeah, Koi, you can't menu while the head is exploding, so he had to use just the fire rod and the sword for a couple hits on this ice head. And you can see that he is losing time on that because Trinex got a second attack cycle in there while he was still killing the ice head, and a third even. Meanwhile, AceZero is able to get it down in 1, which is the best you can do with Tempered.
Yep. Looks like AceZero is going to go for the Hera pot.
Okay, that will save him a significant amount of time. Meanwhile, that is Trinex down for Koi. That will be Koi's 7th crystal.
Okay, now you may guess some numbers.
And keep in mind, on the off chance AceZero does get into Ganon's tower before Koi, you would keep track of AceZero's route through Ganon's tower for the numbers. It's whoever enters it first. And this is going to be close because Koi's
really
not
close.
even out yet. One spin, 1 slash. That is Moldorm down for 7 crystals. But at the same time, it does look like Koi should be the first one to enter Ganon's tower here.
Not by much, though.
Yep, so this is where routing comes into play. This is where sword advantage comes into play. Koi enters the tower at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 1 second. And goes right first for the hook room. And AceZero enters the tower 12 seconds behind. Small key in the hope rooms means that Koi is going to the right. AceZero making the same play. So Ganon's tower routing not going to be the lead changer here. Of course, I say routing won't be the lead changer here. Execution could be. These rooms are not trivial, and either runner could lose precious seconds in them that their opponent doesn't.
And of course, there's still the possibility of finding that one more sword, which would basically even things up.
That is 6 chests down and no Ganon's tower big key. Koi is going to grab the small key out of a pot in this room and then mirror back to go left.
And I suspect we'll see AceZero do exactly the same thing.
With that mirror equipped, yes.
Okay, that's 7 items we've seen, or 7 locations that we've seen.
Yeah, Koi bonking up to the Stalfos room. 8 is a heart piece. 9's a bread rupee. 10's a small key. Losing time to kill these Stalfos so we can get out of the room, as 11 is also a small key. Both runners have just the slightest bit of difficulty getting those Stalfos down in that room so that they can get out.
And a shovel. Just what we want.
I mean, the fetch quests had to be somewhere since they didn't come into play this seed.
That's right. We never did check that powder.
AceZero missing his boomerang throw and hook shot. That's going to lose him some seconds that Koi didn't lose.
Every little bit matters here, Bugnet. Let's go catch a fairy now.
Yeah. And save your Aga2 memes, because in a race this close, anything that loses time could be fatal to either runner. Okay, rando room.
Oh, and
Here's
there's
a
a
sword.
tempered sword for Koi. That just evened things up. And the big
And there's a big key. Okay, so Koi has the edge now. Sword advantage, no longer a thing. Gold Sword does not save time in any of the upcoming fights. The only thing it does is it makes the 1-in-1 cycle on the first two phases of Ganon more consistent. But
This is really just going to come down to execution. And that's really cool at this, Game 3, deciding match, winners goes on to brackets. And we're going to get execution. Koi with a bit of a lead, but any little mistake here, and AceZer could go right on by him.
Yep, and you did say it. This is game 3. Winner goes to brackets. Loser is out of the tournament. No two ways about it. And a race like this, to decide that, as a viewer, I couldn't ask for any more.
As a commentator, especially.
Koi clears the cannonball run and enters the gauntlet at 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 30 seconds coming out of that stairwell. And Koi comes out of that stairwell at 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 42 seconds. That is the same 12-second difference they had upon entering the tower. Nothing has changed, except sword advantage has been neutralized. Tempered Sword kills everything in the gauntlet in one hit, and that's a good arrow snipe by AceZer to save himself a couple seconds, but has to chase around this third one. That's costing him a bit of time.
And a beautiful Landmole 2 fight on Koi's side, using those silver arrows to great effect.
That gets him out of that room at the 23-second mark. This AceZer is now entering the fight at the 32-second mark, so AceZer did lose some time in the gauntlet, but does get the same Landmola's kill, and turns out with that can equip, he lost 10 seconds in the gauntlet. 22 seconds difference now. Potions. I know that Koi found a red potion in Hookshot Cave that AceZer did not. I know we found both red and green potions at some point this seed. I do see the red on AceZer's menu. I could not remember which one he'd used prior to now.
I believe Koi may also have a blue and a green. Actually, no, he used that green before he bought the blue, so...
If you're right about him buying the blue when he turned in the mushroom, though, that means that he is safe from that perspective.
Yep. I don't think potions are going to come into play here. Though we don't have any half magic. I mean, I suppose it could make a difference, but I just don't see it.
Koi entering land mode 2 at 1 hour, 17, and 48. AceZer is one room behind at this point. Clean kill for Koi. Spin and a slash, or slash and a spin in this case. Chat's correcting me. I apparently said Landmolas. Koi taking a couple seconds to get a vanilla red rupee out of the last chest of the game. The AceZer having trouble landing the hits on Landmolas. This is just additional time for Koi at this point. AceZero saves a second or so by not checking that chest. And AGA2 on Koi's side.
Ooh,
That's
so
a
got a
double.
double.
I think that was only a single.
Yeah, hard to say. If they hit too close, you don't get 2 shots.
Yeah. I think he's on 4 hits. A double on the first phase, a single on each of the next 2.
Yep.
AceZero gets a double on the first phase. That's a double and 4 singles to put AGA2 down for Koi. I think AceZero's got 2 doubles. They both canceled the actual body's attack on the 3rd cycle. AceZero saved a cycle. Okay, if Koi can get the 1-in-1 cycles here, he's got an advantage. He drops into the fight and the text boxes start at 1930. Does not look like Koi got the 1 cycle there. The one advantage to the gold sword in this fight is that it practically guarantees the 1 cycle because it only takes 6 slashes. So AceZero did enter this fight about 18 seconds behind, but they are now both on phase 2, and they will both be out of phase 2 within seconds of each other. Okay. Ganon warps are the same for both runners, so Koi has 3 hits on the 3rd phase, AceZero only has 2. This could come down to whether AceZero is able to set up a triple or something to make up the difference. That's 3 hits for Koi. Oh, Koi missed. And he's not able to set up the torches. This is really close. They both got him down at the same time.
And oh my god.
It appears that both runners have finished with times of about 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 6 seconds. 6 to 9, somewhere in there.
I see 121.09. This is too close to call. We are going to have to...
Yeah, I've been informed that the admins are going to...
They're going to have to confirm this one.
They're going to double check and they're going to confirm it for us. As of now, it does look like a tie to me, though.
That was absolutely crazy.
And we are joined by one of the finishers of this race, Koi. Let's see if we can get AceZero in here real quick.
Yep, we're both in here.
Here's AceZero. So we are joined by both competitors in that race. And how are you both feeling after that? You guys have had about 20 minutes to sit on it and digest what happened. So I want to hear your thoughts before I ask anything.
I am so sick of this tournament already. I keep hoping I'm going to lose, and then this nonsense happens.
AceZero?
I'm still like just in shock that it was that close.
It really was.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I hope you guys get a chance to watch this back, because most of the race, I mean, a lot of different routing throughout, but you basically both converge, getting your cane in the hookshot cave, heading over to TR. AceZero, you still had to go finish up Hera, and at about the same time, Koi just barely entered the GT before you did, but he didn't start out with the tempered sword. He only had master sword, so you know, finding that tempered sword in here allowed him to get a little bit of a lead. But oh my god, that ending!
guys, I see a lot of people in chat saying like, "Oh, Koi would have won if you didn't do this one little thing differently, like opening the chest after Moldorm 2 or whipping that arrow on Ganon." But you got to remember, it's an hour and 20 minutes we were playing. There were like 100,000 different opportunities I had to save 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there. You can't just pin it on the last mistake I made like that. It's not fair.
No, there were plenty of things that either one of you could have done different that could have made that one little difference. So no, you're absolutely right. That's crazy to think that just saying one little thing like that. I completely agree
fight
with
was
you.
like 30 seconds longer than it needed to be.
At the same time, though, Koi, you never visited the village of Outcasts, did you?
No, I also accidentally skipped Hype Cave. I meant to do it
you did skip
either before or after Swamp, but I was like, mitts.
Well,
those mitts are nice. I like mitts. Let's go.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, it was so bad.
So here you go. If you'd gone to Hype Cave, you lose. So there you go.
Sweet.
So yeah, that was absolutely crazy though. Yeah, any little thing. So I guess, I mean, once it's not official yet, but once they verify everything, one more game between you two. It's been quite a series so far.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny because our first game was not really that close. Koi won by quite a bit, and I said I would hope our next race is closer. And the second one was closer, but still not that close, and I took the win. And I said our next race better be like within 10 seconds. That's what I want, and it happened.
Yeah, I think this qualifies as within 10 seconds.
I believe this qualifies within 10 seconds for sure. And, I don't even know what happens when you play a game 3 and go into a 4th game. Do you just keep the same settings? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, you just replay the match.
Same settings.
I'm trying to think of questions to ask, but honestly, just after that ending, I'm still trying to digest how that all went down. I was trying to juggle Hera versus Sword Advantage in my head through the entirety of Turtle Rock. Then Sword Advantage got neutralized in the randomizer room right next to the big key, and I'm just still, gotta catch my breath after that one.
So, Ace, you didn't do early Sahasrahla, right? So that's why you go moded Tower of Hera at the end, because you didn't have a fire source when you were there?
Correct. Yeah, I went to Pod and mirrored on the way into Pod and checked Sahasrahla there to get.
So I go early Sahasrahla and find Bow Fire Rod, and it loses me like 3 minutes. Awesome. That's fantastic. Thanks, Rando.
I love early Sahasrahla plays too. That makes me sad when you put it that way.
That's really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I had a lot of better things to do to check that with getting the flute on South Shore, and then the mirror was, gosh, I forget now, but
oh yeah, no,
it was pretty early.
Mirror was also on the South Shore.
The only reason I did it was
it was
because I figured you wouldn't.
Right.
Like that's the only reason I go to the hospital. Like fire scores for Hera would be really nice. It's probably on the mountain though. But I check it just because I know most people aren't going to do that. And I find the bow, and it's like yes. And I find the fire on, it's like yes. And all it ends up doing for me is I full clear Hera, including Hera basement, and you go mode it at the end of the seed.
Yeah. Well, I did go into Hera though, so it's not. I mean, if you full cleared it and did the basement, obviously that takes a lot longer. But I mean, it was an extra. I guess it really wasn't an extra climb up the mountain, was it? Because I was already up there doing Turtle Rock. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things that like you said earlier, Koi, so many little things that one of us could have done differently that would have changed everything.
Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about this one. Why don't you guys just sum up whatever you want to say, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. And we're going to assume that this is going to be a tie until we hear anything else.
Felix said, "Well, now that's all the information that I have."
Yeah, that's about all the information we have as well. Felix, I guess Felix did tell me pre-race that in the event of something like this happening, they would have to double check it. So we're going to let the tournament admins do their job. And for now, I'm going to proceed under the assumption it was a tie, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear, regardless of how it goes, it was that close.
I mean, if it is a tie, I guess I'm playing the maximum number of games in my group stage. That'll be my 10th game.
There you go. In some sense, max +1 even. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, with as close as this was, seeing another game between you two certainly will be fun to watch. So I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, thanks. It definitely. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun in this tournament racing, and obviously, Goy and I are pretty closely matched opponents. So,
yeah, I would.
Yep.
I would be excited for a game 3.5 between you guys, because I mean, I know you said game 1 wasn't close. I mean, I was in the tracker booth for that race, and that really came down to just one check paying or one skip not paying, depending on whose perspective you're looking at. And it was a close race otherwise, in my opinion. So you guys are definitely fairly evenly matched, and I would be looking forward to the next race between you guys for sure.
And game 2 came down to one small mistake from you, Coy. Well, maybe not a small mistake, but we talked about that earlier. We don't need to talk about that again if you don't want.
Wait, you saying that not everybody just kills Aga 1 for no apparent reason without the lamp even?
Yeah, not everyone does that. To be fair, you're not the only person that I've seen in this tournament forget about back of escape and have it bite them. So
no one plays standard anymore. Like I play viewer seat, so like the people decide what kind of settings I play with. Nobody gives me standard anymore.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I've ever
like once every other week.
It's a shame because I can sum up why I like standard so much in 2 words: casual. Like it's just relaxing to play, especially when you play with the assured sword like you guys were. You just run it.
Yeah, I know. I obviously I didn't forget anything that I needed in this seed, but I was worried about forgetting the mushroom in the library. It actually paid out so well because that's what allowed me to get my tempered sword. I routed up that way just so I wouldn't forget to get the mushroom in case it paid out or was required, and I got a sword out of it. So
I felt like if I did it like that I was going to feel pressured to go into Thieves Town and maybe full clear it. Like if there's only like 1 item or 0 items in the front.
Yep.
And I wanted to just say, no, you know what? If I'm doing Thieves Town, I'll do it with the rest of Village of Outcasts. So I just went straight to that place. Skullwoods.
Thieves Town had 3 red rupees in the front, so you didn't miss anything there.
How about that God Swamp though?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. You don't see that every day.
Yeah. So Coy, before when you were at that point, did you have the flippers already? Had you already done desert?
Yeah, remember I had a bow and a fire rod. So,
right. I still put off desert for a lot longer than I needed to, so I wasn't sure if you did that.
Because I have the fire rod, like desert's like the play. Like there's no reason not to do desert right then, as soon as I get the book. Or as soon as I get the book and the boots. So yeah, I went straight to desert after the mountain and got the flippers and all that stuff. And I saw this really nice route where I get to do Skullwoods into North checks, into Catfish, into Flipper checks. It was awesome.
Yeah, the routing efficiency in this seed was pretty nuts. I loved it.
I got real worried about Hobo and Hylia Island because I realized by doing this, I was going to have to either choose to do Hobo or choose to do the Pyramid Fairy Bomb after Swamp. So I went ahead and just did Hobo right away before going into Swamp.
Anyways, I'm going to take a bit of a breather here for a sec and let us run down the schedule for the rest of the night. For Link to the Past Randomizer, a match started 2 minutes ago on twitch.tv/ALTTPR Randomizer. That is I Am the Schwarz versus Zyrak. So if you guys want more rando action, then get over there as soon as we wrap up here, because that's waiting for you. On the main twitch.tv/speedgaming channel, Undertale started about 20 minutes ago. So that's something you guys can check out as well. And on Speed Gaming 2, which this very channel, starting in about 40 minutes, is Chrysalis Randomizer. And there is Link to the Past Randomizer No, there is not any more tonight.
But first match tomorrow morning. Don't know if it's going to be restreamed yet. There is an 8:20 match tomorrow morning between Top Life and Maximum Barnage, and a whole lot of other races going on tomorrow. So definitely take a look at your speed gaming schedule to see what will and won't be, see what will be restreamed tomorrow. And also, do the if you aren't already following the runners, make sure you do so. Follow their links right there in the chat, as well as my co-commentator. And big shout outs to our tracker Slowpoke for doing a great job with the tracking, doing the hard work behind the scenes. And also make sure you follow all the speed gaming channels as well as the ALTTP randomizer channels.
Yep. And I think that's about it for me. If anybody has some last words they want to say on this fantastic race, I'll leave it to you guys.
Felix just contacted us. He says it is indeed within 2 seconds confirmed tie.
Oh baby, game
there-
4, let's go.
There you have it, chat. And I will be looking forward to that game.
I will hopefully won't be missing that one, because this one was fun. Want to see you guys play again.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll look forward to it. Again, GG's, Koi. I'm excited for game 4.
GG.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. But yeah, that'll be it for us, and I'll let you close us out, Reg.
Yep. I'll see you guys over some other race, and as the group stage is winding down, look for the bracket stage to start up, and look for game 4 between these two guys. It's sure to be an absolute banger after this one.